big up a great organizer, a great leader in not only Detroit, not only the state of Michigan, but with UAW, who's done a number of wonderful things politically as well as locally on behalf of UAW and the labor movement. Without further ado, I'm going to bring up Frank Woods.
Wow. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
Y'all woke?
Yes.
Right. As I said, my name is Frank Woods, and I'm an international representative with the UAW, and I currently run the Vote Center, which is located on Livernois in Detroit. As Angela said, my director, Roy Gamble, opened that Vote Center last year in 2011 in June, with the purpose of educating Detroiters on the issues and the issues before them and learn about voting. And we worked with a number of organizations to make that happen. So over the last year, we've had over about 3,000 people come through there. And our database has grown to over 1,500 people. And most of them are repeat. And they've been there on a number of times for a number of forums and town halls we had. But with that, it was interesting what Mr. Williams just said about the Detroit News saying that the folks didn't vote in the city of Detroit for the proposals, which is a flat out lie. And I will go toe to toe with them on those numbers, because I got them right here. For Proposal 1, Detroiters voted 77% for Proposal 1. That's a huge percent of voters that started to understand what Proposal 1 meant to them.
Voted no.
That's right, and voted no. That's what I'm saying. We voted at that record number, on those large numbers, against Proposal 1. Now, Proposal 2 was even higher. They understood and starting to understand about collective bargaining rights, about collective bargaining and how it affects them going forward, whether you're in a union or not. Collective bargaining is about you at the workplace. There are a few points there people want to say, well, what do we do going forward? There's a number of things we have to do going forward. First of all, we have to continue the education about that very issue, collective bargaining, and about the bills that are in the legislature to erode collective bargaining and union rights. You may have heard this phrase, right to work. And some people confuse that with right to a job. But what it really is about your rights on that job after you get it. That's what it's really about. Your rights on that job after you get a job. Now, how many people in here are part of a union? Raise your hand.
Retired CWA right here.
How many in here have never been part of a union? Raise your hand. How many of you are not part of a union currently? Do you know what your rights are in the workplace? Anybody? Tell me what your rights are in the workplace. That's what collective bargaining is. Collective bargaining is the end of that process. Currently, if you're not in a union, only right you have in the workplace is the right to remain silent.
Precisely, not to be discriminated against based on race.
Exactly. It's the right to remain silent is the biggest right that you have in the workplace that's non-union. That means not about speaking out against being discriminated against, speaking out against your pay, speaking out against your benefits. You don't have rights to speak out against them when you're not part of a union. So this conversation has to go to framing it to where we understand that we have rights in the workplace if you are part of a union. So it's about organizing our people to understand that. And as we went forward in this, we started seeing that happen. We started telling people what the difference was, non-union and union, collective bargaining versus not collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is a big word for some folks, even within the union. Some of us didn't understand that collective bargaining was the process to make sure they had rights and benefits in the workplace. So education is going to be a huge key moving forward in this fight against collective bargaining and against people's rights on the job to have collective bargaining. That's where the fight starts. And it really starts at home. And you heard what Al said about they saying the kids didn't understand or didn't vote for union rights. You know, and it's part, I'm not gonna take the blame because I've been an organizer for the UAW. I've done a number of jobs for the UAW, traveled across the country doing it. One of the things we do when our kids go into the workforce, first job, we'll tell them what? Listen to the boss. Do what he tell you. Whatever it is, you need to keep that job. We don't tell them you got certain rights and they can't treat you any kind of way. We don't tell them that. And we don't tell them that if they're part of a union, those rights are protected. And you have a voice. We don't tell them that. But that's where we need to start. When we start talking to our kids and they go into the workforce, find out if there's a union there. And then understand that their rights, what their rights are, even if they don't have a union, there are certain rights they do have, not just to remain silent. That's what I use to let people know that that's how divided it is in the workplace and how much power the boss has. He has the ultimate power. That's the same thing that emergency manager law. We knocked that down because we don't believe in dictatorships. Right? It's the same thing at work. Right. We don't believe in the boss being the sole dictator on my livelihood. I should have a voice in my livelihood. That's where the fight is, and that's what we have to continue to do and talk to our kids about. And as I close, one of the things that we're going to do, in the vote center, we will be moving to a larger facility very shortly. But we're going to start that campaign to making sure people can come in and get that information about organizing. And that's what it's about, being organized when you go to work and understanding that you can fight against this, like this guy, what's his name, from Papa John's, telling his workers, well, now that Obama won, you got to pay your health care. Now I'm gonna cut your weight. I'm gonna cut your hours, so I can afford to pay for your health care. That's ridiculous. No person, even if he owns the company, should have that amount of power over the persons that are doing the work and making him his livelihood. Right. You should have a voice in that. People say, why do you say that? Well, if you ask a person, hey, Lamar, would you loan me some money? Is Lamar gonna reach in his pocket and give me everything he has? Probably not. No. He's probably gonna give me the least amount that he can give me. Oh, you know. Not because Lamar may not have it, but it's because I don't have to be fair with what you're asking me. I can be rich as cream, but I know you may need a little bit more to sustain yourself, but as the boss who controls everything, I don't have to give it to you. That's right. Yeah. So when you organize, you can tell folks that. But look, I know you have a little bit more to give, Mr. Lemons. So let's sit down and negotiate how much of that I can have because of the work that I produce for you. That's what that's about. That's what we have to do going forward, and that's what we're going to do at the Vote Center. Come on by. Our new location is going to be right up the street. We're going to be moving to 15140 Livernois, deep in the middle of the hood, because we want to make sure we go out and educate the folks, as you said, that have got their pants hanging down. We're going to go talk to the brothers and sisters. We're going to make sure they come in and get that education. And as I said, I say thank you.